I'm HEDI KARRAY. I'm the Program Manager for Artificial Intelligence at the European Innovation Council. I'm glad today to run this session about, let's say, how to unlock the European robotics potential. We have a great potential from research to the market, and we would like to discuss today with you, with the community, but with also our excellent speakers and panelists, what are the challenges and how we will unlock this potential. So we'll focus on concrete things with real stories and real actions. That's very important. So we will start with a very short intro by ANITA KROHN. ANITA brings a strong business and investment angle to this session. ANITA brings, ANITA is the CEO of the group industrial investment company DSD, with long track record leading tech and innovation-driven organizations, and she is also serving as the vice president of the EIC board. So she combines the view of an industrial owner, an investor, with insights into how European instruments can better support real scale-up. ANITA, please join.
I think we first want to welcome you all to Stavanger, our hometown, the home and birth of my company, DSD, where I work for. So happy that Stavanger was picked. I know it probably has been worked for. So welcome to Norway. I just want to give you a very short brief of the background of the EIC, because many of you think that the European Innovation Council has always existed, right? No, it's a startup within EU. And I have to tell you that when I got a call from EU in 2019, and they were talking about doing massive innovation from Brussels, I was so skeptic. Does innovation come from Brussels? You know, I was thinking, here there are some politicians who has some good ideas, maybe they had a few drinks the day before. We have to innovate, we have to commercialize, right? So I was skeptical, but I went to Brussels. And then the commissioner was there, the first president and chair was there, and we were 20 people from all over Europe. Again, a bit skeptical until the professor, Mark Ferguson, the first president, he stood up. It was quiet, it was silent. We were so, you know, eager to try to understand what kind of vehicle is this going to be. And he said the sentence that I have never forgotten. He said, now you have a license to misbehave. I did not think I had to go to Brussels to feel at home. And ever after 2019, we've been building up the EIC from almost nothing, from a pilot to becoming a legal part of the horizon, you know. So when you see the logo, I see you're wearing the EIC, you know. For us who've been part of it from the beginning, it's like a startup. So I just want to keep all the companies and the startups and investors just a small reminder that everything is not perfect from our side. We are still struggling on building up something that is massively important. We feel your pain as a startup. We feel your pain as an innovation company, and we're trying everything we can to make it possible for our companies to grow.
Wonderful, and like amazing story about the EIC. We are proud that we are, let's say, I mean, usually I say we are not proud that we are the top deep tech investor in Europe. So, because we believe that we can do more. So, great. Thank you, ANITA, you can join. So, let me also invite the other side of this panel, the policy part. So, CÉCILE, the head of unit of excellence in AI and robotics at the European AI office, with a European-wide view on AI landscape and ecosystem in AI and robotics. Thank you, CÉCILE, for joining. Then we have champions, we have innovators. that we are proud, that we are supporting. So let me invite Maggie Medryakova, CTO of Robotwin, a young deep tech company rethinking how we program and use industrial robots. Then Karim Nuira. Karim is the CEO of Super Intelligence Computing Systems, working on what we could call the brain of the future robots. Welcome, Karim. And last and not least, Dorian Scholz, co-founder, managing director of Energy Robotics, one of the European standout robotics success stories. The company delivers, let's say, autonomous robotics inspection for critical industrial sites, and recently closed $13.5 million as a Series A, plus a support from the AIC fund to scale up more. So welcome, Dorian, and congratulations for those achievements.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's start with the innovators. Let's hear from you. That's very important. I think this panel is designed for you to hear your journey, your challenges, and also your ideas to improve the current ecosystem, the current programs we have in Europe to scale up. So let's say the first question will be, from your perspective, let's start with you, Dorian. What actually made the difference in your journey to become a global reference in your area?
I mean, there's obviously always a lot of points that contribute to this. We were lucky to have a very strong founder team. We've known each other for many, many years. So this was something that was helpful. Obviously, from the start, there was a lot of trust inside the founding team and inside the company. But then we found also, very importantly, we found very good investors very early on. And that was something that helped tremendously to scale the company, but also to understand the ecosystem, how does it work to get funding, to get money in the EU, in Germany, how do we go about this? And there we had support from the university for once, but then also from our first investors, from our early investors, Early Bird. They supported us in this. And then we had additional funding coming in through European programs, but also through German programs that helped us to scale this even further. And now with the newest investment, as you already mentioned, the EIC is also on board in the company, and that obviously helps us tremendously to make sure that we can grow in a global scale. And that is basically what has happened over the last 6 years of the existence of the company, or basically 7 years now. I think yesterday we had our 7th birthday officially.
Great, congratulations again. And just to remind that the Energy Robotics emerged from the lab. If you can tell us shortly the journey from the lab to the market.
Sure, absolutely. So we started as a group of PhD students at TU Darmstadt in computer sciences, and we participated in many robotics competitions there. And this was very helpful to understand what the real-life performance of our systems is. And this was, for one, on the academic side, but on the other side, also from industry. So we had, for example, the Argos challenge from the French oil and gas company Total that really pushed us to go further with the developments in the direction that industry needs. And this challenge we won in 2017, and then said, okay, there's really something there that the industry wants. They pushed already a lot of money into this competition, so there's really a need for this there. And this gave us basically a good test bed, and then additionally also initial customer recognition and initial customers in the market. So this was really helpful, but obviously we built up on 15 years of robotics research that we did at university, and then became a spin-off of that university in the end.
Wonderful. So Maggie, looking ahead, what will be decisive for Robotwin to become a global champion? Today, we are not on the same level of maturity like Energy Robotics, but looking ahead.
Yes, for us, the journey is now over pilots to successful installations in the industry. So we focus on manufacturing industry. We help manufacturers to teach robots to do the job instead of people, because there's a lack of workers. And the technology is there, the need is there. The companies are calling for such a solution. So what we need right now is to accelerate our entry to the industry, to the market, and like get us installed, get us being tested, get us being validated in the industrial companies to get the trust to learn and to iterate on the products further. And it cannot happen just in our area, like around Central Europe. It needs to be global.
Great, thank you. If you can remind us a bit about how your journey started.
Yeah, it actually started with the idea from the industry. So like there was, when I was still a researcher at the university, there was a company that came and was like, the classical automation just does not work for us. It doesn't scale, it's too complicated, it doesn't fit our like small batch production. We need something better, something flexible. And that was the challenge I took. Prototype came, concept of the solution was there, and then it took some years. Like looking back, it was too long. Before it actually became the MVP, like a product that we could offer on the market. But since 2023, our robot teaching tools are like publicly available. We are selling them. We have first users. But as I said, like we need to be faster on the entry to the market.
Great. Karim, from your perspective, the journey of CÉCILE, and then also what will be decisive for you to become a worldwide champion?
Yeah, the speed is essence. So right now we have the perfect market fit. There's a, I would say, multi-trillion-dollar market pain. So the need for automation in unstructured environment is huge. If you look at warehouse logistics, only 95% of all logistics companies have basically no automation. So it's an open field. And warehouse logistics, this is the most basic robot task. Pick and place, moving something from A to B, turns out to be very, very complicated to solve. So accelerate and scale this beachhead we have in warehouse logistics is vital. And in order to do so, we need to close this current financing round.
Perfect. So, Anita, you heard from our innovators, our scale-ups. From your perspective as an industrial leader and investor and tech CEO, so what is the one thing that, from your perspective, separate companies and startups to become global leaders from ones that will stay local?
Yeah. I mean, if I had the answer, I would be very rich. I think it's really interesting to listen, because even though we can learn from other setups and different steps that we need to go through, kind of hurdles for a startup, what we see in general in Norway, in every European country, is we're really good at being innovative, creating something from 0 to 1. And then it's scaling it from 1 and up. And that's not only about the money, it's also about the knowledge. Having the knowledge to scale it is as important as it is as the knowledge to build something, for example, a robot. So I think we shouldn't underestimate how we need to bridge the engineering, deep tech competence with business go-to-market competence as early as possible. And I think for us at the EIC, we're trying, like you said, what you really need is the first big contract with one of the major European companies. And this is why we have formed programs that doesn't give you, it's not the grants or the loans of EIC, it's the business acceleration. It's how we make you in contact with the top CEOs of BMW or whatever kind of company. This is, I think, a key value of being successful with scale, because you need that too, right? So I think it's probably the sum, HEDI, of all the initiatives that we are doing. I think we should welcome EU Inc. I think we should welcome all the different initiatives that is coming, and you should try them out. And even though you get no the first time, or you are not picked, because you are competing on a European level, and we don't lack innovative ideas or great minds. we're lacking the ability to execute, right? And also the ability to articulate the value of what you create for the businesses. So I think what we can do from our side is just listen to you even more and try to be relevant in the programs and in the initiatives that we form for you, because we form it for you, not for us. At the same time, I'd say, just as a reminder, all the money we use in EU, it's tax money. You know, it's not like a big jump of money that somebody throws away for us. It's already hard work tax money from all of the different countries. It shouldn't be easy to get money from EU. It shouldn't be non-bureaucratic, just a blanco check where you write it out and then you go and be innovative. So for all the innovators who feel that it's a struggle, it's supposed to be a struggle. It has never been easy to build a company. It will never be easy to build a global champion of robotics and AI, but it's possible. And we need to build 5 big, large companies in Europe, not 5,000, you know. We need to compete with the big ones. Yeah, I should stop.
That's great. We will back to this question because I prepared this as a backup question, but I think that we will back later. So, Cécile, from the policy perspective, from the vision of the AI office, I know that the AI office is launching a huge number of programs, Apply AI Strategy, the AI Continent, and a full framework from the legal to the operational things. But if we focus on one condition that you most want to create for AI-powered robotics champions in Europe, what will be?
So, yeah, in that context of policy making, I'm from the unit, the first unit that was created in robotics and AI 22 years ago. So there was no regulation and so on at this point on AI. So we were really basic research. So coming from that perspective, you will be maybe surprised by my reaction. I would say also listening to what was said. They need customers, and we need to put the conditions so that they have customers. And this is now what we are trying to do. In the previous session, we presented this catalyst, really listen to the end user, understand their needs, and then geared our funding programs towards their need. And what we will try to do in the future also is to make sure that we have also not a discontinuation of program, because we have basic research and then a bit more higher tier, and we will try to, what we are trying to preach is to have a continuum. So when we have good results from research, being able to continue funding that part and bring it to the next level, and then bring it to the business. That's a challenge because our rules are quite complex, and but we are trying. And yeah, one thing also really to create the market. And for instance, we just have a call at the moment which is revolutionary. We had to fight with the lawyers to get it approved, but it's to fund a group of industry, end-user industry, and we picked 3 sectors: pharma, aerospace, and telco. They have challenges, and we know that this challenge could be solved by AI. So we give them 15 million euro, and they will launch challenges, and they will call for innovators, so startup can apply. They will have a small amount of funding to do a little proof of concept, and the best for ones will have 2 million to really develop the thing. So we hope in doing that, it's much more than giving money. It's really creating visibility to these newcomers, and hopefully also create this ecosystem, because these newcomers, they will directly have customers. Hopefully those ones who create the competition will really want to adopt and committed to adopt this technology. So that's a risk we are taking in launching that, but let's hope we will manage to do something.
Anita, I would like to comment.
Yeah, I so support what you do here. I think this is critical, it's underestimated, because we need to deploy our own innovations in Europe. You know, so you need the customer, and you need a paying customer, right? And you need to have to test those in sandboxes that are safe for you, while at the same time get paid, and where we also reduce the risk for some of the big corporations, because it's not. I mean, if we're going to scale up in Europe, we have to start delivering on our own innovations, but also we are so fragmented. So I think having some set of standards or agreements so we can create an internal market for you, I think that is key. I think it's the only way where we can actually make sure that you don't leave us, because we don't want your IP or the future value that you create out of Europe, because Europe needs to be very strong as a region. We're already competing with China with 1.5 billion people. When they decide something, they do it like this. And we still have an opportunity to build on our strength. Europe is a niche in robotics. Let's just be honest, we are a niche. But that can be very important and very strong and very, very valuable. And there's a last thing that I think is a key differentiator for us, or for you. It's the trust, to make sure that the AI systems and robotics that we build has some deeper thought into it, that we are responsible as a region. Democratic values, I mean, they are so scarce now. So I think that should also be a very important part to build a demand for our technology, because you can trust it.
Wonderful. You mentioned two aspects that, interest me. The time speed and China.
Yes.
So when they launched their national robotics strategy in December 21 and started in 22, in the time scale of 3 years, we have seen wonderful things. So regarding that, from the European perspective, we already launched the Playa strategy, the catalyst. So in a time scale of 24 months, so what is the most concrete things we can set up? Also, you need, as innovators, to accelerate European excellence. So specific test beds, pilot environments, specific funding, specific support. Like, I can go through all of you with some examples. Let's start with Karim.
Yeah, so we are in a very different time right now where AI is working alongside humans. So in our specific case, we are about 10 people in the company. We aim to be 20 developers, not more than that. And we're using AI daily in programming. So one of our best coders, he hasn't written a line of code for the last 6 months. We have an AI that's developing our AI. So this is a new situation. So our team, 10 people with the level of AI corresponds to 100 developers, maybe even more. So you don't have to be that many people, but you have to be the right people. What we have been supported with right now from the EU is the AI factory. And this is a boost in our development and also in our operations, where we have access to, we can run works on the Lumi supercomputer in Finland. We have a NVIDIA B200 computer ourselves. It costs as much as a house in Sweden. It has 8 processors. The Lumi supercomputer in Finland has 28,000 GPUs. So it's on a completely different level. Very difficult for us to make that kind of investment. So we're very happy with this support right now. On the other hand, the second point, we need to stop copying the United States. The United States is not the blueprint of AI. The United States is provide a brute force approach to AI with large computers, lot of data, and very large model with trillions of parameters. This approach is a off-ramp. It's a dead end and will never lead to next generation AI. What Europe needs to do is to make a disrupt in AI development and aim for artificial general intelligence. And in 24 months, Europe will have that with the support from the EIC.
We trust on you, Karim. So, Maggie, from your perspective, your needs and to accelerate, that's most important, is time speed.
So our product and our technology is way more lightweight than yours. So like I would say, since we focus on the niche applications like surface treatment, manufacturing industry, like painting, like really like the small niche applications, it's more lightweight. So for us, it means the technology is there, the use cases are there, the engineering part is also there. What would help us would be, as you suggested, like tighten more the circle. So it starts with the tax money from companies that like create profit in Europe. That got invested through EIC into us, and we are here to provide solution to the challenges of these companies. So basically the circle like close itself, but we would need to be more integrated in that, be like more aware of opportunities that are being built together with like all the three pillars of the triangle, like the policymakers, us as the technology providers, and the end users as the customers, like being aware, being present, being shown to them so that they know about us, they can pick us, we can build the pilots, we can build the trust, and that will like start rolling the ball for us. So yeah, I would say it's about like tightening more closer all the aspects of the circle that was mentioned.
Wonderful. Dorian, from more advanced perspective regarding your current scale at the company, what is the key need now for you, like as like maybe large scale, multi-site? You already have such kind of things, but there is new features to integrate and so on. So do you need more pilots, more test beds, or like late stage funding?
That's a very good question. I think this is really where we have differences between the companies in different stages, obviously. We were somewhat lucky, I would say, in our company that we always had enough customers and enough paying customers to do pilots and to do actual implementation in industry sites. So this was for us never really the main focus that we needed. But what we always still struggled with is making sure that we have enough funding at good enough conditions on a European level. That's something where we still saw, even though the last years we always did very good rounds, nevertheless it was always a struggle. And now we have onboarded the EIC as well, which is great, but even there it took us quite some time, and it took quite a lot of convincing of private investors to co-invest and to make sure that everything fits together. So this is something where I would say definitely we can still improve on this, and in our, let's say, next funding rounds in our next 2 years, it's going to be absolutely essential to make sure that we have very lean processes of getting higher money, let's say higher amounts of money into next investment rounds. And this is really where we see the growth to a global champion being decided now. So it's not, for us, it's not about test beds anymore, about pilots, but really about making sure we have big funding amounts that we can push into this in combination with private investment, obviously.
Great. I think that the EIC step was designed for such kind of things. Anita, please go ahead with the step and with other strategies.
Yeah, I think Dorian brings up a reminder, and that the needs of the three of you, there is different needs from a startup to somebody who's looking for a B and C series, who's an innovative company, existing kind of arm of a company that's already 100 years old. I mean, there's so many different angles and different companies. And we probably have a little bit of more job to do to understand and define the different instruments to the different needs. Because you can, as an innovation company, at a point also suddenly come and have a startup need, you know? So it cannot be as rigid, but still it has to be a little better defined, I think, than it is today.
Yeah, so perfect. Mentioning the instruments, because also for the audience, like, to remind that the EIC is covering the full pipeline from TRL 1 to 9. So, I mean, if you are still in early stage research, we design programs and instruments for you. Transition, same. Accelerator, scaling with the step, and with the upcoming scale-up fund coming with bigger tickets, 50 or 100 million investment from this public and private partnership, that's wonderful, and I think that's go in the right way. But
And also
Anita,
the life cycle of different industries. I
Yes.
mean, if you go into health, you know, from ID to IPO, it can take 30 years, you know? And then you go into another kind of technology, it can take 24 months. And that, you know, this is hard as it is for politicians who doesn't work with this daily. It's really hard for us who work with this every day. So I think we need to be better here.
yeah, but I would like to use your investor hat. It's like, from what you already heard here, I mean, what would make these companies more investable and scalable in the next, let's say, 12 to 24 months, from your perspective, is about how they use, like, I mean, the pilots they have, the kind of traction they show, the public funding like they got, or like maybe also the structure and the crowd of the private investment that they already got.
But then again, it depends on what kind of investor I am. What am I looking for? Is it pre-seed? Is it early stage? Is it venture? Is it mature? So I think, as a general comment, what you are doing in the industry you are doing from an investor perspective, I think this is one of the big bets that's going to be successful for Europe until 2050. I think what you're doing is long-term, really important, can be massive. Some of these European companies will be among the top 10 world's largest in 2050. I really, truly believe that. If you ask me personally, from the investment focus that we have, we are an industrial investor at DSD here in Stavanger. So we will look at something that's a bit more mature than the startup. It has to have a proven product at some point, with some customers, with some revenue. You know, so that is from my perspective. But there are investors here in the room that are looking for early stage, you know, and they will look at other things. But of course, it's always about the people, you know. It's always about the human beings. It's about, you know, if you look at the team from ID to IPO, I mean, you will have switched CEO at least 3-4 times, you know. So I think the team is critical. I think for any investor, not showing the hockey curve, being pragmatic, show us everything that can go wrong. That's how you build trust with us. We don't expect this glorious story about how rich we are going to be. We are looking for other things, you know. So I think also to explain the niche and the compelling competitive angle, show us the red flags, how you want to mitigate the plans, 3 to 5 years. Just give us, you know, damn honest hard work and progress and consistency between, as my boss say, between what you say and what you do. And if you don't deliver it, yes, you can explain why, but I'd rather see the plan how you will change. Because it's so risky what you do. We get that. We really get it. We just don't understand where you will hit the risk. So you have to tell us, and then we can mitigate together.
Indeed. So,
yeah.
Karim, you would like to comment?
Yeah, so there's a big culture difference between the Silicon Valley investors and European investors. Even early stage European investors, they talk about the same metrics as in industrial investors. What's your revenues? What's your pipeline? Basically, what's your market traction? And this type of metrics is maybe not the most appropriate in a deep tech company early on. Market traction is very important, it is. But in the United States, for example, you can take very heavy bets, extreme heavy bets on good technology. And they look at the compound risk. Okay, we accept there's a technology risk, the technology isn't market ready yet, But the market, on the other hand, is huge. It's a multi-trillion-dollar market. And this type of thinking is lacking in Europe. For example, one of the direct competitors to us, Skill.ai, they started in 2023, no products out, no revenues. They closed a financing round with SoftBank of half a billion US dollars at the pre-money company valuations of $14 billion. They're trying to do the same thing as we have already done. And we have a hard time finding European investors investing in our company. But we hopefully will close this round before the summer, but it's been a real struggle. So this type of cultural investor thinking needs to change in order to make Europe a successful AI continent.
Risk and de-risk, that's very important. Cécile, I mean, all the programs you are launching is part of those enablers to de-risking, to make those like innovators investable. So from the TEFs, from the, the IH, bringing clients and so on. If you can elaborate on that, please.
Yeah, right. So we fund the standard research and innovation, but one thing which is super important is we also work with the community. So I want to mention these associations like ADRA, like Robotics, which is a funding member, because they are also important. So there are more importance in these networks than in the funding we give, because they create networks, so they allow you to meet the end users. And this is where I think we can improve also in making you more visible. So in our funding program, so they define the strategic research and innovation agenda. Out of that, we issue some priorities, and then we have call for proposal, and then we fund research. So I think there we have been very good in producing very good research, but then you build on that to create companies. And this is the thing which needs to be, reinforced. And then one also tool that we have been developing is what we call the AI on-demand platform. It's basically a platform that helps both the researcher on the one hand to share the result, making their things visible so that others can reuse and build on that. But we want to develop further the other side, the industrial part of the platform. We want to create a marketplace on the platform so that you become visible at European level. So this is something in the making that we want to really develop in order to better serve you. So that if you have a nice product, a nice solution, you become more visible to the end user. And this is something I think we all can help and reinforce. Then we have the testing and experimentation facilities. The goal was also to help the innovators in validating the result in as close as real environment as possible. So we have in healthcare, in agri-food, in smart cities and communities, and in manufacturing. So you can bring your technology and validate it so that it reassures the trust, building trust. So you can go then to the end user and say, okay, I've been validating in that, and now we can go to the end user. And we have another tool to help going to the end users. So these are the local European digital innovation hubs. So they are facilitator for the uptake of digital technology. And now we are asking them to become expert in AI. So what they do, they have services such as test before invest. So there is an end user next to them. They can help them identifying what is the best technology for their problem, and de-risking again. Test before invest. You can validate a little bit and see whether it fits your need. So all these different tools hopefully help making you more visible and reaching the customers. And because your goal is not to live out of public funding or just investor, but to really get a market and develop your product. So I hope with those toolbox we are helping.
Great. So another aspect that you have mentioned is the community. That's, I think, important, and the role of the community to change mindset. That's a point. Another aspect is synergies. So how to build a community mindset to make synergies between European stakeholders to build champions. So let's start with you, Maggie. As an innovator, as a startup, how do you see the community, the mindset, and how to make synergies?
It's a really tricky question because I experienced both, like the research and the entrepreneurship later on, and I think that the research community is way more like developed and way more like cohesion, and people rely more on the community know-how and shared knowledge, whereas the startup world is like, I have my very focused vision, I need to achieve this, and I have like zero time to look around. Which unfortunately is the case for us as well. Like, as much as I would like to, I have to prioritize, and like our like survival is the priority one. So it's actually quite complicated to like gain more from the community as such. Like, it can be these events, like it can be very lucky meetings with someone who is a complementary technology, but it's more like a, more like a lucky bet than anything what I would have a capacity to build on, like in a systematic way. So, sorry, it's a rather disappointing answer, maybe, but from my perspective, it's really very different from the research community that I experienced before.
Great. Dorian, like your case regarding the synergies that you are building with partnership with other innovators in Europe, what is the current state within energy robotics?
I absolutely understand your answer, Maggie, and I can agree with that. The focus is important. Focus on what you're doing and getting this forward is absolutely important. We have nevertheless had the chance, so to speak, to work with a lot of other European smaller companies, even some startup companies, but this is also in the nature of our product, obviously. So we have a software product that needs hardware robots from other companies, and we combine this for the end user. So therefore we have had, let's say, as part of our business to work with partners and collaborate, bringing us forward with this. And this is why I think these events here are also quite interesting for us to learn more about the European robotics ecosystem, to find out more potential partners. And obviously some of them are straight away suppliers for robots that we will use then for the end customer, but there can also be completely different ones, different partnerships that emerge from this just by working on, let's say, overlapping fields and not seeing each other as competitor, but actually trying to help each other out in terms of sharing technology advice, sharing investor strategies and things like that. So we found some very interesting exchanges with other companies, but I absolutely agree, you have to still focus and make sure that the company comes first and not the need to collaborate just because it should be. So it really only can happen when there's a direct benefit to your company. I agree.
Wonderful. Anita, you already, started to talk about this point, and I will ask this question for you and Cécile. Regarding if you have the power to decide or to choose, would you rather see fewer robotics companies as global and worldwide champions getting much larger and faster support from the public and private sector to truly become like this giants, or like we need to support as much as possible and then like have a big portfolio to, to expect to then one of them or two of them emerge. So, if we take this first way, for sure we will say no for a very exciting project that are good, but it's a matter of decision, and I think that's an abstraction from the strategy and in investment from the European perspective.
That's a challenging one. No, but on the other hand, scale is so important that we would need big champions. But we should not completely ignore the other one, because they will not be able to serve many of the needs. So I think we still need to keep a balance. I'm sorry not being able to say yes or no, one or the other, but definitely we need to support the creation of big ones if we want to serve the needs. There will be a robot in every house in maybe 50 years, maybe 100 years, but do we want them to come from China or from Europe? So therefore, we have to have the means of delivering that. So.
Yeah, we need both. To have something to scale up, you need to have a fundament. Take a stupid example. How come Norway, a small country with 5.3 million people, are the world's best skiers? It's not that we are not born with skis on our feet, just, you know, that's not true, okay? But in every little place in Norway, there's ski training for children. And that's how you have it in the culture, that you train and work on that. And with that fundament, you can pick and scale the global winners. I think that should be hard. Like you, Dorian, there's not going to be many energy robotics. But you need to be massive.
Yes.
You need to be even bigger, right?
Yep.
But for you to survive, there need to be a platform. And we already know that 70% of the startups, no matter what kind of industry and branch you are in, will fail within the 5 first years. It's the nature of innovation. And that, I mean, I so agree with you that we shouldn't look to the US and copy what they do. We shouldn't do that on the commercializing side either. We can learn from other continents and countries, but we have to create our own playbook on how to do it in Europe, which I think we are doing, and then in Norway and in Nordics. But I also think one point, sharing of data, cross countries, cross industries, I think is important.
Great.
How do we get there?
Yes. Wonderful. We are running out of time, but we started with startups. I would like to give you the last word. So one word from you to the community, each of you, to conclude.
Thank you. Yeah, I really like the approach, and I really like what the EIC is doing. I think it's important to have a big community of funding smaller companies, but then also pick individual champions to make them really, really grow. That's absolutely important, because I know that Europe has fallen behind on some technologies already compared to the US and China. But in robotics, we still have the chance, we still have the option to be a global leader here and to develop global champions. So we really need to put the focus on there and to win this game. That's very important for many, many reasons, data privacy and others.
Thank you. Karim.
Yeah, we have a 80% chance to have artificial general intelligence in Europe in 24 months. And I would say the 50% chance to have super intelligence in Europe in 5 years.
Perfect.
Yeah, and this is thanks to the EIC that's helped us, our company, out of this catch-22. So thank you very much.
Welcome. Thank you, and we trust on you. Maggie, last word.
Yeah, I feel really good being together with people who understand our needs. I really feel like we are on the same page, and I can just add the last thing you said with the data, that opens a big discussion we can have. Yeah. But it's exactly something what I'm thinking of every day since we've started. So it makes me go out from the stage with a very good feeling that we are on the same page and we understand. So that's great.
Great. Thank you very much. So thank you, all of you. Thank you, the community. My last word is for our innovators. Don't fear. You can make it. We have success stories, but failure is also success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.